For more on the debates, let's bring in Lori Williams. She's an expert in Canadian politics from Mount Royal University in Calgary. Lori, first things first, last night, how do you think Carney did pushing back on the Conservative narrative that his election would just be a continuation of the Trudeau government?
Well, he did distinguish himself, both in terms of just saying he's a different person, but he actually went through a list of policies that he already has begun to pursue that are different than those of Justin Trudeau, and he's drawn on his sort of deep economic and international credentials to support the policies that he wants to pursue.
And what about Poilievre? He's still trailing in the polls, but as we just saw, it's a narrower lead, depending on which poll you look at. How do you think he did last night?
I think he did. I think both he and Mark Carney would say that they came away without doing any damage to themselves or suffering any damage themselves. He might have wanted to be a bit more effective in challenging Mark Carney, but he's on that sort of very delicate edge where he has to, on the one hand, question Mark Carney, at the same time not look too aggressive and to look prime ministerial, and that's a tough thing to balance, and he'll be trying to do that again tonight.
Well, it did seem polite, perhaps, is the right word last night. It didn't have any moments of fire or passion. Do you think things are going to change tonight now that it's in English? Are they going to take more of an opportunity to bring some energy into this debate?
Well, some of that will depend on how the moderation works. I think the main reason things were as civil as they were last night was because the moderation was so tight. And I think it actually was done quite well. It's a difficult thing to do. There are going to be a lot of pushback, particularly from, I think, Mr. Singh, to try to get his message out and across. We saw him pushing back a bit last night. I expect we'll see more of that tonight, because he's got to try to persuade some of the voters that have switched to the Liberals. He wants to try to bring them back. Pierre Poilievre wants to see some of those folks go back to him or to the Bloc in order for him to be more competitive against the Liberals.
You're going to be watching this tonight, and then you're going to be joining us later tonight at 11 for your thoughts also. What are you going to be watching for? Is there a misstep or a moment that you're going to be looking for to give you an idea of whether this was Carney's night or Poilievre's night, or maybe Singh, the dark horse, coming out and gaining some points?
Well, I'll be looking to see if any of them are making any progress, making any difference. It's important to note that things have not changed poll-wise since pretty much the beginning of the campaign. It's going to be a tough job for these folks to sort of reach out, maybe give a sense of themselves to voters that they didn't have before. Poilievre needs to put himself forward as more prime ministerial, certainly capable of negotiating or being tough at the same time as being likable. And of course, because his likability numbers are so low, that's a tall order for him. But he has to try at least not to be or reinforce the view that he's unlikable. Mark Carney is going to be under fire all night. I suspect that more of the jabs will come against him tonight than last night. And his job will be to look prime ministerial, calm, stable in the midst of all of that, because many voters are looking for stability. And Jagmeet Singh needs to try to show Canadians that he actually is somebody who's worth voting for, in spite of the fact those who are leaning toward voting for Jagmeet Singh are more concerned about Donald Trump and Pierre Poilievre than they support Jagmeet Singh. So it's going to be a tough order for him as well.
All right, that's Lori Williams from Mount Royal University. Lori, thanks so much for giving us some of your time tonight.
Thank you, Matt.